Rubicon Classics is proud to present its new release on the 6th of November, the Elgar and Gareth Farr Concertos with French cellist Sebastien Hurtaud, conductor Benjamin Northey, and the New Zealand Symphony Orchestra. A little over a century ago, during World War I, millions of men and women fought in a conflagration of a magnitude the world hadn't experienced before. 100 years later, a French cellist, a composer from New Zealand, an Australian conductor, and an English label have collaborated in the recording of 2 cello concertos to memorialize that terrible time and celebrate the peace that these men and women sought to restore. This commitment to honor the history of their ancestors links composer Gareth Farr and cellist Sebastien Hurtaud as they confront death, a quest for meaning, fraternity, honor, hope.
This recording is really the climax of these past 3 years. It is also the promise that I made to myself a few years ago to commission the best composers, as well as a promise to imbue my interpretation of cello works from past centuries with my vision of this historic time I'm living.
As music critic Peter Meechan said so well in his review of the premiere of the Gareth Farr Concerto, he was struck by how the expression of anguish and anger in this new work reminded him of Elgar's cello concerto.
I learned that Elgar had been linked to Helen Weaver and that she had broken off her engagement with the young composer before she moved to New Zealand.
A few years later, in 1916, Helen Weaver lost her son, who died on the battlefields of World War I. Elgar was devastated by this terrible news. The late Oxford musicologist Professor Brian Trowell put forward the controversial theory that the Elgar Cello Concerto was written as a tribute to the New Zealander soldier, Lieutenant Kenneth Munro, Helen Weaver's son. It was while touring with the New Zealand Symphony Orchestra that Sebastien Hurtaud and Gareth Farr met. Before writing his cello concerto, Gareth Farr visited the Dragon Cavern Museum in France, along with Sebastien Hurtaud. This museum is located on the warfront called Chemin des Dames. The composer decided to name his concerto after this historic place.
Gareth is an extraordinary composer. We discover that we share many things in common, like our commitment to honoring our ancestors, and thus the idea of the cello concerto emerged.
We've always had photos on the wall at home, ever since I can remember, of my great-grandmother and her whole family. And behind her are her 3 older brothers. Within a year of each other, in 1916, I think, they were all killed in northern France and Belgium. It's mind-blowing to me. I never will understand what that would be like. So that's my personal connection to the piece.
Sebastien Hurtaud received the final score of the concerto on the 9th of March 2017, 2 days after the birth of his daughter, and 2 months before the world premiere performance.
I start to learn the concerto between the diaper change, the short nights, but in the same time, Gareth composed a short song inspired by the name of my daughter, Stella. And he's a crazy man, and he included that in the cello concerto cadenza.
I just took the letters of her name, like E-S is E-flat in German, T, Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, T, E, L, L, La, A, and it's a pretty little tune it forms. And so you can take that as the symbol of hope.
I don't think I would have played this concerto the same way before being a father. I try to to imagine the force of a soldier's father going through the horror of war. And a voice came into my head to help to find the right energy for the interpretation. It said to me, "Stay alive."
I was so blown away by Sebastien's playing, and phenomenal. He's a fantastic guy and a really, really good musician. I know those players so well, and I love writing for them because I don't feel like I'm writing for a generic orchestra. I'm writing for colleagues and friends. I'm writing for individual personalities, and it's just such a wonderful thing to do.
The Chemin des Dames Cello Concerto project led the French soloists to perform at Wellington and Auckland in New Zealand and Laon in Paris in France to celebrate Anzac Day, the Chemin des Dames commemorations, and the armistice.
Audiences from different countries expressed the same sentiment to me. They say, "Listening to the concerto you performed, you transported us and brought to life the images of war."
Finally, in April 2019, the French cellist recorded both concertos with conductor Benjamin Northey and the New Zealand Symphony Orchestra at the Michael Fowler Centre at Wellington, New Zealand.
The meeting with Benjamin Northey was amazing. Could you imagine that we've never met before? Of course, I was very aware about his world reputation, and I've played the concerto, both concerto for him, and we were absolutely in the same artistic direction. I mean, it was a miracle, really. He's a great conductor, and the combination with Ben and the New Zealand Symphony Orchestra was amazing. I remember on the morning of the first day of this recording session, somebody showed me a video of Notre-Dame de Paris Cathedral burning that had occurred a few hours before.
It seemed important that these two concertos should be recorded together in order to convey the belief that despite tragedy, we need to hope for a better future.